1917 was directed by Sam Mendes and is the story of two soldiers who are given a message to dispatch to a colonel at another part of the battlefield during the war, the First World War, that is. And these two men have to go against grueling odds, fight off Germans, and make it to the other side without basically losing their lives and risking everything in the process in order to save 1,600 men from going into a trap the very next day. Sam Mendes is a great director. I liked a lot of his films, and I think what he's done here is, I'm just gonna cut to the chase, remarkable. This is one of the best movies of the year. I am amazed at how fast 2019 has turned into a decent year from film to arguably the best year of the decade when it comes to film. The amount of A-grade films that we've had in the last few weeks is astonishing. And once again, we have another list of them coming up here because this film is phenomenal. Roger Deakins is a genius. He has essentially created something, I think, even more monumental than I think Blade Runner here, which is something hard to do. What he's done here is essentially, he's tried to make this film as if it's one shot. And the movie is edited impeccably to make it seem that way. He has entirely done this in 6 to 7 shots at most, and it's amazing. He has filmed some gorgeous sequences, some truly nightmarish stuff in here. There's a scene that takes place at night that might be my favorite sequence of 2019. It's a fantastic set piece. This is one of the most well put together films of the year. That editing is impeccable, and it also has the same editor as Dunkirk, Lee Smith. We'll talk more about that later, but I really love the sheer scope and scale of this movie. Because of a lot of these shots, and because they're filmed in one flowing motion, there's a lot of times where you're following characters and you're following them into it. So it feels very immersive that way. After a while, I forgot I was even watching a film. I felt like I was one of the two soldiers who was fighting it out and trying to make it out alive. That's something that's really amazing, and it's almost like a virtual reality film, but it's not. It's not. It's still got characters and a very historical, serious sense to it. It's just so meticulously made and so well crafted that you have to give it praise from that standpoint. This is a film that relies on it being a visual experience first and foremost, which also means that the music has to accompany that effectively, and it does. Thomas Newman's score is one of his best in years. I think since Skyfall, this is his best. Fantastic musical piece. I cannot wait to own it. It's a gorgeous soundtrack. There's a few moments in particular that just sound so beautiful. I couldn't wait to get the soundtrack after the screening, but I found out that doesn't drop until the 20th, and the film's not even out until really January 2020. So this is a really early screening, and a lot of people have already seen this film, so I feel like I was still somehow one of the last people to see it, despite the fact that it's not even officially out for another month. Sam Mendes' direction is wonderful, but the two lead performances are also really, really good. These two soldiers do a magnificent job, and they have to carry this entire movie on their shoulders, even though there are A-list actors cameoing here and there, like Benedict Cumberbatch, Mark Strong, Colin Firth, Richard Madden. Aside from that, these two are holding this film up, and they do a brilliant job with that. Like I said, it's tough to talk about this thing in terms of characters and writing because this is not that kind of a film. It's very similar to Dunkirk that way, which is what I was about to get to. I can see some people liking this film a lot, but maybe having a little hesitation because there are things in it which will remind people of maybe Dunkirk. There's also not a lot of emphasis on characters in this movie. There are some motivations, but it's mostly to do with them being basically a way for the audience to be like, all right, there's a face in the crowd. So I can see some people being a little turned off by that. But as I was watching the film, I sort of asked myself, is that really something I want to fault the movie over? Because there are films that have existed in the past that have used this method of storytelling where it's not like there's a major character, it's more so the environment that is around you that becomes a character of its own. So naturally, I can see this being employed in a World War I setting as well, if it was already done for World War II with Dunkirk. So I'm not gonna compare that. It is funny. It is really funny though that the same editor who worked on Dunkirk and its non-linear storytelling worked on this movie. There's There's just something a little funny about that. That's it. On the visual side, the production design is also immaculate. This also has the same production designer as Blade Runner 2049. So this is now his and Roger Deakins' second collaboration, and it's really effective. These two make a really good team. I wonder if they're working together on Dune too. They are, aren't they? So yeah, I can maybe go on longer with this review. I'm thinking if there's anything else that I really do want to say, but it's a very simple film. There's a lot of human connect to it. There's a few emotional beats in it that do sometimes get you. It's a film that involves you in its events perfectly. It doesn't try to oversell itself as what it is, while maintaining this value of being a really entertaining film. I don't want to say the word, but for lack of a better term, it's a film that gives you an idea again into the world of war, and it's just effectively executed. Narratively, like I said, it's not the strongest film, but it has a very simple story. It has a point A to point B story, and it tells it effectively. And that is why 1917 is one of the most wonderful movies of the year. I highly recommend seeing it. I'm going to give 1917 a 10 out of 10. This top 10 list is getting so much harder. I mean, there have been so many great movies recently that it's honestly going to be an absolute nightmare to condense them down at 10. I might actually go more than 10 this time. Might have like 10, 15, maybe 20, because it is 2020 coming up. So we'll see what happens. I mean, yeah, but this is up there now in my top 5 movies of 2019. So go figure. Thank you very much for watching, guys. Look forward to the review of Dark Waters, which I'm filming right after this. As always, if you like this, please do subscribe, and I'll see you guys at the movies.